Well, Dana Brown's talking, and he is telling us, giving us a look into what the Astros' needs are. Eric and I are going to discuss the latest on injuries, trade talks, and the Astros run going forward right now.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on X at Eric Talkstros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Thank you for making us part of your daily routine. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and check us out. This episode of the Locked On Astros podcast is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. The right to stay can make a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. Brett, I know I was listening to that interview earlier, and Dana Brown, of course, he still has the grit. He used that grit word, but we'll talk about this. So, Brett, where can they find you at?
Yeah, they can find me at h-vac on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Facebook and on X. They can also find me at Back to the Bullpen on X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Look, always positive, always Stros. I think the people want answers. And, unfortunately, sometimes the GM can't give all the answers we want, but that's what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss the possibilities and things like that. So thank y'all for tuning in to a special midday show here with Eric and myself.
And unfortunately, I'm going to go ahead and start off the show by saying that Hunter Brown did not get the pitcher of the month for the AL.
Really?
Garrett Crochet actually got it with 6 more innings. He had 37 2/3 innings pitched. He had 56 strikeouts and a 1.91 ERA. So I guess that negates the ERA. So I guess it depends on the quantity over the quality in this case.
Criminal. I need a federal investigation ASAP.
Yes. So I know that Dana Brown every week has this interview on Sports Talk 790, and he did have this one. And in the past, we've kind of not mocked him or made fun of him, but he always kept on saying, oh, yeah, we're going to go on this big roll. We're going to the team has grit. And it's just like he kept on using that one grit, that one interview, that the word grit, that one interview. Right. But he used that word again today. He said, this team still has this grit and they're going to have to grind. And he used that. That was the new word of the day, was grind. They're in this grind right now. They're having to do this without Kyle Tucker. They're having to do this without they have 7 starters on the IL. And so they're having to win without these guys. And he said that this is what the team envisioned. They envisioned a winning streak like this, but their goal, and I don't know if this is the goal for the end of the season or just before the All-Star break or before the end of July, but their goal right now is to get to 7 games above 500. So I don't know if that's like long-term, but I think that's just what he said. So once you get, the goal was to get to 500. Then once you got to 500, you got to continue playing good baseball. And good baseball is winning more often than you lose and getting to that 7 games above 500. What do you think about that, Brett?
I think it's a great goal because right now, I don't know if y'all paid attention to what happened to the Seattle Mariners. They had an amazing outing by both their starting pitcher and their bullpen. And they still lost because they ran into Grayson Rodriguez from the Orioles. And that offense absolutely is sputtering. I mean, they are a ghost of themselves. Julio Rodriguez is not J-Rod, is not as billed. I mean, he's having a rough season. I don't think he's going to stay like that. I think he's a legit big-time major league player. I don't know if he's a future Hall of Famer, but he's a very good player at that. Cal Riley, all those guys. And so the Astros clearly are doing the right things. They're not creating goals that are too big for themselves. And Eric, I think part of that comes from the experience. And we know Dana Brown's only been here a couple seasons, but prior to that, he was with the Braves. So he's been around winning for a while, and he knows exactly what it is what it takes to win. And so you have this like really this intrinsic part of getting back to where you were is small steps. You can only eat an elephant one time, one bite at a time. And that's what they're doing. And Eric, they're doing it with, have you never heard that before? The only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Yes, there you go. There's it. Put it in your hopper, use it with your kids. So I like where they're going offensively. I like what their pitchers are doing. I mean, you get guys like Contreras on the mound, what he did yesterday, even though they lost, that wasn't a bad loss. I mean, you were competitive the whole way through. And so I think this team has what it takes to make it to the end, to make it to the playoffs. And I think the struggles by Seattle and Texas, I don't even know if they're ever going to come back to relevancy this season. I'm, knock on wood. I'm not saying they can't, but I don't see any promise coming out of Arlington. So that bodes well for the Astros' goal.
And the Astros are having to have players up here that they probably didn't expect to contribute. Like nobody probably thought Luis Contreras or some of the names that have come up. Jake Bloss, he's kind of blossomed this year, but he discussed him as well a little bit later on. But definitely before we get into that, Jake Bloss and the trade deadline, let's go ahead and talk about the injuries. Justin Verlander isn't as sore anymore, but he doesn't have the strength in his shoulder area after taking time off. He's back throwing and needs to get stretched out. So it's going to be a little bit before he's able to get back on the mound and really getting out there and getting back to who Justin Verlander is. So that's going to be an issue going forth into 2025, because the Mets, if that option is in there, it's going to be half of it. Otherwise, if the Astros bring back, it's going to be all on the Astros. So that's a big option, the 140
That's
innings.
True. Yeah, I never looked at it that way. That makes it more like, okay, JV, got to get back. Can we get you in some innings? But dude, this JV team, I mean, there's really no timetable, and it makes you wonder if Justin Verlander is going to have enough in the tank when he comes back to actually be competitive. Is he going to be able to go 100%? And so I think, Eric, but that thus highlights the need of needing to get a starter at the trade deadline. I'm telling you, Eric Fetty from the White Sox, I think Crochet's probably out of reach for us. Michael Kopech. You got to find guys on these teams that aren't competing, that are 2, 3, 4 starters, that have veteran, that have years under their belt, that are being successful right now, that are hot. Because I think you bring pitchers like that over here with the bullpen that's working, with guys like Blanco, with guys like Hunter Brown, they would fit in perfectly for this club going forward.
Yeah, so before we get into trade talk, I do want to talk about Tucker. He said that he's starting indoor baseball activities. It's feeling a lot better. He's doing treadmill. He said that sometimes with the bone bruises, it just takes a while to heal, and that's what's going on with him. And also he talked about Luis Garcia. He said that the goal for his next start is 30 pitches, and he's hitting about 92 to 93 miles per hour. They know that he can ramp it up to 94 to 95, but they don't want him, in his words, putting the pedal to the metal too soon. They want him to kind of, this is spring training for him. So they want him to just treat this like, hey, you just reported to camp. Let's just see how you bounce back. Don't try to push yourself like you're in Game 5 of the World Series right now. Just go ahead and just go out there and get yourself stretched out, and we'll see where you are in 2 weeks. Because he was asked, like, when do you see him returning? He said, honestly, at this point, we have no clue. It just depends on how he bounces back.
Yeah, I still think you don't see Garcia until the end of July, the 1st of August. I don't know why there's any reason to rush him back before that. He's got to be 100% to contribute, and when he comes back 100%, he's going to be on a very, very specific pitch count in his first couple of starts to make sure he's good. Because look, we haven't seen Garcia for a while now, and it would be good to get him back healthy and dealing the way we know how he can deal. The other person is Lance McCullers. What is the issue with him when he comes back? How effective will he be? What role are they going to choose for him? I'm still convinced that you don't stick Lance McCullers as a starter. Right. You put him as a relief pitcher. But those two guys, if they come back, Eric, if they come back at the right time, they can contribute.
Yes, definitely. So we'll go ahead and address what Dana Brown had to say about the trade deadline in a second.
This episode is brought to you by Ibotta. Get the free Ibotta app today and start earning cash back using the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Let me tell you, sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids, it's all what we do this summer. And there's a ton of buying going on, but don't stress out for the cost, because when you use Ibotta, you get cash back on all your purchases when you stock up on your summer essentials. You taking that dream vacation? Well, you know it's summertime and it's barbecue season. So stock up on all your grilling favorites, earn cash back for every purchase. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from grocery stores, beauty supply stores, even toys, so you can make sure that you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, they give you cash back. So right now, you can help save from over 2,400 brands. You shop for over 1,000 retailers. Ibotta's offering listeners $5 just to try the Ibotta app by using the code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning today. Cash back. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. There's a little red button down there. Just go ahead and press it and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcast, go and check us out. Become an everydayer, somebody listens to our podcast every day. Go and check out Michael Connor, also with the Locked On Astros postcast as well. He does a great job over there. And I see a lot of people joining us live on midday. It's Wednesday at 12:44 p.m. and a lot of y'all are joining us on your lunch break or whatever. So we appreciate this, but I see a lot of people talking about the Mariners, the offense being the problem for the Mariners. And I love fake Fox Sports, however you say it, but they're
Fact Sports,
but whatever. But they're like saying that J-Rod said that, oh, we're cooked. Astros enjoy the division. So I always like when they have little quotes like that, but it's a little too soon to say the Astros are going to overtake the Mariners at this point. Yeah, they're trending up. The run differential is definitely improving for the Houston Astros. Even with that loss yesterday, the run differential took a 1-point hit because of the 1-run difference. But the Mariners are having trouble scoring runs. And GM Dana Brown was asked at the trade deadline, what are you looking for? And he said that we actually had a meeting yesterday, and they were with the front office. They're trying to go through all these different trade scenarios. Right. And he said, we could use a starter. With 7 starters on the IL. We'll be in the grind, meaning we're going to be in the grind, not only with only 4 legit starters right now, but also we'll be in the trade grind because they need a starter. Even Spencer Arrighetti, we've seen him set the record this season for strikeouts against the Rockies with 10, and then a struggle. It's just like that's what you have with a rookie. And he even addressed that. He said that it's with a young pitcher, it's all about executing your pitches. If you execute your pitches, you're going to have quality starts, and we're going to continue to win if we get those quality starts down the road. And we're not getting them sometimes from certain pitchers, and that's why we were losing to start the season.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, like you and I have mentioned multiple times on this show, recently, this team, like I said, yesterday's game, a month ago, you're losing that game 13-3. There's no way you're scoring 6 runs. There's no way you're making it a game. I mean, Jordan was slumping at the time. Remember when Jordan was at the plate and he wasn't doing much, and you had Bregman was down, and this team, the first part of the year, that game absolutely goes to the Blue Jays in a just a huge lopsided loss. They gave themselves a chance to win, and knowing, speaking with Spencer Arrighetti, talking to people who actually trained him over the last couple of years, this kid's got the mentality, and I think he's got the maturity to go, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Where are my locations meeting barrels? Are my pitch shapes not there? Because, like with Fromber, you have the velocity thing where if he throws too hard, his pitches flatten out, so they're very hittable. Or you have a changeup that's 92 versus 88, which makes it basically a slow fastball. And so Spencer Arrighetti is going to go through there with Miller and with the pitching coaches, with the analytics group, and look at what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong. He definitely has successes to build on, and that's what's key. And that's what gives me hope and keeps me from going into panic mode, even with the injuries, Eric. Again, if there's any team that can do it, it's the Houston Astros.
Yes, and Dana Brown mentioned that Luis Garcia would be one of the trade deadline acquisitions. Getting him back at some point would be like making a trade, because he can anchor. He can not anchor, but he could be like that fifth guy in your rotation, give you 5 to 6 innings once he's stretched out. So I think that they're going to be patient with him. Probably wait till, like you said, August, and then if everything works out right, then you'll have a fully stretched out Luis Garcia should the Astros make it to the playoffs. I'm not guaranteeing anything at this point, but this is somebody that's been there, that's done it. I know that a lot of people said, well, can he pitch with the new pitching restrictions, with his rockabye baby? He can't do that anymore with the pitch clock. So a lot of people said, well, isn't that what kind of led to his mechanics change, that led to him having to need Tommy John surgery? So he's just going to have to adapt, just like all the other pitchers in baseball have adapt. And so it's just going to be a matter of how well can he adapt. And I think that's what the Astros are looking at too. That's why they're not going to push him through. That's why they're saying, hey, don't try to up that velocity down in this start. Just focus on throwing 30 pitches. This is just your second game in spring training. Just go ahead and get stretched out as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all about the grind. It's all about the grit this year. And, it's interesting revisiting the name Relentless, Eric, because in every way, relentless on injuries, relentless on struggles. But Ronel Blanco, relentless in his starts. Hunter Brown, relentless in his pursuit to just driving down his ERA and becoming one of the most dominant pitchers, totally getting robbed of the Pitcher of the Month award. Relentless on like Kyle Tucker going down and the team saying, we're not going to lose because Tucker's down. I mean, everything about this season is relentless. I bet you Dana Brown's going to be relentless in his pursuit for another bat and more pitching. So you know what? That's actually a really good hashtag this year. And at first I didn't know if I liked it, but because of the way things have gone and the way things I think are looking up, I love that right now.
Well, at a certain time, it looked like they were relentless. In fact, they're going with Jose Abreu out there at first base, and
or like, liftless. Liftless,
yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and let this slide. We're gonna go ahead and just go with this guy at first base. But the Astros just went ahead and bit the bullet and just absorbed that contract. And a lot of owners will not do that. And so to kind of a lot of people have been talking about, well, what prospects are the Astros going to be trading? And that's something that is weighing very heavily in Dana Brown's mind a lot. But what is the plan at first base? He did address this, and so we'll definitely talk about that in a second. And who's going to be starting for the Astros when the fifth starter comes in line? Is it going to be Dubin again, or are they be calling somebody else? So we'll go ahead, address this next. You're muted.
This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Go to Booking.com, the site or the ad or the app, and go to Booking.com. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore the U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn about. Even you, Mr. Chavez, can go to rival cities like New York, Boston, Oakland. Well, I don't know if they're playing anymore. Let's just say Arizona, and check out your rival cities. Baseball parks, you can go with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. Kid-friendly places. You might just find the perfect stay. And because this is a hot season and because this is a hot summer, you might as well go try it. So from hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many cities across the U.S. for you to travel this summer, this MLB season. Booking.com, booking.yeah. And if you are going to go to a game, especially here in Houston, wherever you are, download the Game Time app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I use it. I don't buy my tickets anywhere else. If someone isn't giving me a ticket, I'm going to Game Time. I don't go to any other site. Why? Because I get all-in-one pricing. If I ever have issues, I get the best customer service. I get things like job loss protection. They also have this guarantee that if you do find the tickets in the same section and row that you just purchased on another site, they will credit your account 110% the difference. That's a deal. And so make sure that you go and check out Game Time today. You don't have to plan months in advance. Go the day of, walk up to the stadium. 2 clicks and it's in your phone. You're in the stadium watching the Astros win and head back to the playoffs. So go to Game Time today. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and hit that red button down there that says subscribe and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. And you can go ahead and watch us on your Amazon Fire TV stick as well. And Brett, I'm thinking about doing it, Brett. When I say that, I mean going up to watch AJR on Tuesday night and just pulling out my Game Time app and buying a last minute ticket.
Dude, do it. I mean, what do you mean?
It's something me and my girlfriend just decided to do it. And I was about to look at prices and I'm like, let me wait.
No, wait till right, especially a concert. Wait till before, because the prices will drop. People want to get rid of their tickets. Hey, man, I'm considering, I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I'm probably going to go to the Sebastian Maniscalco tour, which is on August 8th, the day before my birthday. He's going to be here in Houston. Dude, the prices right now are good. They're going to be even better the day of. So I'm serious. Game Time is, dude, it is a baller app. It is. If you want to save money and you want to go to any event, it's the place to go.
Oh, wait, what podcast is this? Are we talking concerts or Astros? Just kidding.
Dude. Hey, baby, it's Game Time, man. We're relentless. This is Locked On Astros. We cover this team better than anybody on the planet.
Yeah. All right, guys. So before the break, we did talk about what Dana Brown had to say about first base. And this is something that a lot of people have been wondering about because the name Vlad Guerrero Jr. has been coming up a lot recently, and this is what Dana Brown had to say. I can't remember if Vlad's name came up specifically, but he said if there is an opportunity without mortgaging the farm to upgrade first base, we will do it. But we have a little bit of a runway with Singleton and Dubon. We are in a grind right now with who we have right now. So basically, if they don't have to give up their whole farm to get a upgrade, they'll do it. But otherwise, they're just going to stick what they have.
Because you're looking at Melton, you're looking at Blue Ball, you're looking at Leon, which I don't know that Leon has that much value because he is almost 30 years old and he hasn't really produced.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Okay, but you've got Bloss, you got Matthews. I mean, I can think of 9 or 10 minor leaguers that are going to be targets. The question is. So look, here's the thing. If you do get rid of this high value prospect, and let's say you get Vladdy for it, and he's here for a year and a half and he balls out, you might as well see if he'll stay here for another 4 or 5 years and keep him and have a quality major leaguer for 6-7 years. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that would be the upside, but then that's you're kind of like wishing on a hope and a prayer there. But look, I was reminded of something the other day. Mike Stanton told me, I asked Mike if he thought the Astros were thinking about a certain scenario, and he said the fact that we're talking about it means the Astros have probably already thought about it.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the meeting they probably had it, but they're like, well, what about this guy? What do we need? How much can we give up? How much would it cost for this guy? And so these are the meetings they have. And so what they do is they come up with this plan. Okay, Blue Jays, we have this offer for this, for Vladdy. Would you take it? And the Blue Jays will probably say, we like the offer, except we would like to do, instead of this player, we like this player, this player, this player. So that's something that could happen. So I think both teams have idea. Like Blue Jays are like, okay, let's look at all the teams around baseball that need a first baseman, all the teams that need a shortstop. If we're going to trade Bo Bichette before, if we really think he's on the decline, let's go ahead and trade him now while he still has some value. So the Blue Jays are definitely looking to do something like that. But the fact that he thinks the Astros are okay right now at first base doesn't mean that I don't think they're going to throw all their apples into the first base basket.
Right. Well, I think his phrasing is key here. He said, "Is a runway. What do you do on a plane? You don't fly on the runway. That's your takeoff point. So that means they have a foundation." And Dubon's done well. And look, Singleton has become a legit mid-level first baseman option. He hasn't been terrible. Right. He's absolutely stepped up. He's answered the bell. There were a lot of calls. I mean, even me, like, why is he on this team? Why did he make the roster out of spring training? I mean, I'll admit it. There's some people I questioned a friend of mine to be unnamed, but I asked him, I was like, hey man, whatever happened to all those calls of, Singleton being cut? He's like, I never said that. And I literally showed him one of his tweets. He was like, oh, well, it's like, yeah, I was like, look, I thought the same thing, but at least I'm willing to admit it. I think this team's got a great foundation, Eric. I think it's got a great clubhouse culture, and all this talk. And I heard Chandler Rome say this on the radio, all this talk earlier about Joe Espada having lost the clubhouse. I don't think he ever lost the clubhouse. I think there was a lot of turmoil in the minds of the fans. And a lot of times we project that onto the team. Joe Espada's had a really good run these last few weeks. And you know what? Winning does cure pretty much everything. So,
yeah. And also you have a team that's used to winning. And if they're losing, they're frustrated. They, like Alex Bregman, throughout his whole career with the Houston Astros, has been on a winning team. So he's like, what the heck, dudes? We're supposed to be winning. I don't know what this losing thing is. And so Tucker the same way. Other free agents, people that have come from other teams, they have lost before. So they're like, oh, well, we've been on losing teams before. So it's just, maybe that's why Tucker and Bregman were the ones that were kind of the ones that were throwing the most thing around. But he was asked about, well, what about the fifth starter? Who's going to be the fifth starter? And he said, well, we would like to get Dubin stretched out at this point. So he's going to probably take the mound the next time around, and he'll probably stay in unless A, Bloss is ready to come back, or B, we make a trade. So that means that he is looking at making an acquisition of a starting pitcher. So the question is when. He said that it's probably not anytime soon. He says we will try to add. So many teams are in it right now. There's not enough product to meet the demand. So that's why you don't see a lot of trades going on right now, because there's so many teams trying to fight for this wild card. And that's why teams wait till the end of July to make trades, because that's when you kind of have more of an idea if you're going to be a winner or a loser.
No, yeah. And I kind of want to address this because this has been something that's been floating around. There's been more like Bauer talk and all this stuff. And there was some talk about him possibly wanting to sue Major League Baseball for, quote unquote, keeping him out of the sport. And his agent, actually, Rachel Luba, came out and said, yeah, we're not going to sue Major League Baseball. From what I understand, there may possibly be some things out there that Major League Baseball has on him that they are not releasing. And this may be like, okay, well, you want to sue us? We got stuff we can release. Now, I don't know how legal that is. I don't know how ironclad that is, but there is a reason, y'all, that nobody is touching this guy with a 10-foot pole. It has nothing to do with false accusations. It has nothing to do with, it has everything to do with what I think they know. You and I don't know anything about it. And remember, when y'all try to flex Trevor Bauer's stats and what he's doing, no offense, it's in the Mexican League. That's not exactly Major League Baseball. If he was doing it in a true professional league where you had true professional hitters, that would be a little different. So I just want to kind of dispel that. And that's really why nobody's touching him with the 10-foot pole. It'd be different if 20 teams were offering him something and the Astros were just not doing it. I would maybe like, hey, why aren't we talking to him too? But literally no one's talking to him.
Yes. So another thing that he addressed was the Pedro Leon situation.
Oh, yeah.
He said that there's let's see, where did I put it? But he basically said that we are paying attention to him. He's a big time prospect. There's an opportunity for any prospect that is putting up some numbers in AAA. He's turned a corner. We are paying attention. I'm not saying he'll be up this week, but there's a chance he'll be up at some point this season.
I think if they make a trade and they let go of some outfielders, if they do trade Jake Myers, if they do trade Chas McCormick, that Pedro Leon gets a spot up. But dude, I mean, this is a guy that should have been up here 2-3 seasons ago. But yeah, look, Pedro Leon, I love his stuff. When he's good, he's good. So let's hope for him he gets here sooner rather than later.
So the Astros' biggest need is a starter. This is something that we've been talking about ad nauseum for the past few weeks or so, and that's what Dana Brown kind of said today. And so I don't think they're going to go after a reliever. They may go after a bat, but it just depends on what the cost is. That's all we got for this special edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He is Brett Chancey. We are the Locked On Astros podcast. We will see you later. Go Astros.
Go Astros.